Damn it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Lobo Show, featuring a friend of mine. You might know him, Ben. He's here as always.
Oh,
What's going on, Ben? What's going on
nothing
tonight?
much is going on, man. I'm very tired and sore. A few days ago, I was partaking in some physical activities, better known as Taekwondo. So I felt a pull
Okay.
on my groin. So I
Oh,
overlook it, like, it's nothing. I haven't been injured once. So I go the next day. We start doing some kicks. I feel another pull, and I'm like, God damn, that one really hurt. And I don't want to say I pulled my groin because I never pulled my groin. I don't know what it feels like, but man, this shit fucking hurts. And I got some testing coming up tomorrow. And I don't want to go because I can barely walk. My groin is just killing me.
right. So, what is the pain of a groin pull? Like, how does that happen? You can't
You
get a
see,
hard
that
on or
is,
something?
well, I can get many hard ons. There's not a day goes by where I don't get a hard on. The hard on, and my erections usually vary up to 5 erections a day.
Right.
I'm very horny guy. Very horny. But,
Very horny guy.
anyways,
And
the pain. I don't know what the pain is for an actual groin pull. To be honest, I just feel very sharp shooting pain in between my crotch. Right, like, honestly, right, where the groin, everybody knows where the groin is. It's just a really sharp shooting pain, mostly on the right side, but I do have it on the left. Every time I walk, you're gonna hear grunts, if I get up and I start walking. Oh, I sound like a 50-year-old man getting up.
well, this what platform, what place, but the Lobo Show? You can start off a show talking about groin pulls. And speaking of
I
penises,
honestly didn't even think I was gonna, talk about a groin pull, but it was really on my mind.
well, Ben, it's hopefully groins are not too much on your mind all the time. But speaking of
It's usually
penises,
usually vaginas and tits on my mind.
well, I would hope so. And you know what?
Well,
The vagina, the girls get groin pulls too. Like, what happens with that? Like, they
uh,
stretched out and they
I'm gonna
hurt the
assume
old
they
groin there.
do. Yeah, I would assume
Right.
they do. I don't know. I've never asked. That's a good question to ask. You bring up a new topic. I might have to write that down in the notebook and just start walking up
Right.
to random ladies,
And I'm
start
also
asking them these
curious.
questions.
I'm also curious about the cunt punt.
The cunt
Obviously
punt.
you kick the cunt punt. Yes, you kick a guy in the
Yeah.
balls. He's fucking down for the count.
Yes,
I
he's
don't care
down. Yeah.
what kind of protection. I mean, you see
I've
these
been kicked
boxers.
3 times, twice, once by a white broad, once by a black broad, and then once by a dude. Can you guess
Right.
which one hurt the most?
I'm gonna say the black broad. I guess. Did she
Definitely,
fucking
definitely, dude.
totally grab it? What's going on with that one?
Oh, she went full. She wound up and went boom, and I wasn't expecting it. I had my back turned. Then I obviously feel that, and there's not many times where I've ever, felt like crying, but if there's ever a time, that was it.
Right.
I just completely dropped. I looked like Manny Pacquiao in the fourth fight against Marquez. I just went boom, straight down.
I think that what down the road that they should make like laws against that. Because when you're a kid and you're playing around with the girl, you're joking around, the girl always kicks your balls, and they don't really know that that can do some serious damage. That
They
is
do
like the
not.
weakest, most vulnerable spot for the man. And so, but if you kick a girl or if you touch a girl, obviously it's always a bad thing. You can never come back from
Yes.
that at all. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
you're
But
looking for, what, 10 years in
but
prison if you
I
touch a girl.
I think yeah, rightfully
Which, of
so.
course,
If
you don't
they
want
kick
to
you in the
touch a girl.
balls for a joke, you should give them old cunt punt. The old kick to the fucking, cunt and see what
Do you think
happens.
that's going to actually work? Because speaking of that conversation, I see this is gonna be kind of bad because I don't remember when it happened. It was about like 2 weeks ago. I was having a conversation and somebody asked what it felt like getting, kicked in the balls. And obviously, you have to explain. It's not a great feeling, not at all. There's not that one guy who begs, I want to be kicked in the balls.
Well,
I'm
there
sure
are
there's
some
maybe
fucking
that one
crazy
nut. Yeah, there's
sickos out
there's
there.
gonna be a few nuts out there, so I take that back. But majority of the guys rather not get kicked in the nuts. But then this lady who asked that said that she's been kicked in, there in her vagina, and that it's really nothing. So I'm not sure if it
Really,
varies between
it's
who it is,
nothing.
but yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I
yeah,
was
I don't know
told.
about that. I don't know
I,
about
I
that
would assume you're gonna feel something, but I was told it's
because
nothing like
this
dramatic.
place, the vagina, is a very, it's very sensitive to them. You give it
Yes,
a little
very.
tickle, they go crazy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You give it a little kiss, they're fucking watering down there. You know what I mean? But so you
I
would
know what you
assume this
mean.
place is so sensitive. You give them a kick over there, hey, it could be completely horrible. You know what I mean?
You
It
would
could be
think. You would think
just
so.
bad, right? But
That's why
I
I was
don't know.
surprised when I was told that, oh, it's nothing. She was being nonchalant about it, as if, pain. What are you talking about? I
Right.
don't know what that
I
word
think we have
means.
to, right? I think we have to
Think
bring a
we'll have to
girl in
go on
here
the
and
street and
yeah, yeah,
ask.
absolutely, and find
Yeah.
this out for ourselves. And and going back to speaking of penises, all
What
these
a lovely
dickhead,
topic.
yes, exactly. It's all these fucking dicks, Chicago Cub fans. That yeah, I get it. What is it, 110 years since they won anything? They won the World Series. Two
See, I
teams,
wouldn't even know.
Cleveland and
See, you say
Chicago.
the Chicago Cubs. I don't even
Right.
know who they are.
Well, yeah, Ben, you're from Canada. What baseball? We're talking about baseball now. Is baseball not big in Canada?
Yeah. Well, where I live pretty close to Toronto, so we have the Toronto Blue Jays and the
Oh, that's
Raptors.
great.
Now, I
That's
mean,
correct.
obviously sarcasm there. I've heard of baseball, obviously, but
Right.
I know hockey is big here, and that's the stereotype. I know nothing about hockey, so I wouldn't even be able to tell you the Toronto hockey team. So the only thing I know is basketball and the Toronto Blue Jays. So baseball is a big thing here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you would think that, but it is. And there's been a lot of talk about baseball. I don't know if the Blue Jays made it to playoffs or whatever they have in baseball, but I did hear a lot about baseball. So
Right. They
if
they
that
actually got
answers your
a
question.
yeah, they had a pretty decent team actually. Yeah, no, baseball used to be really good. No, I'm being a little biased because I'm a Yankees fan, the days of Jeter and Andy Pettitte and Roger Clemens and I mean like, and prior to that I wasn't a baseball fan. But I was during the 90s and during that great run they had and in the 2000s and they had a new stadium and George Steinbrenner, the owner, died. I was all in for that. And then I was like, man, Yankee fan for life, man. Fan for life all day. I was thinking about getting a Yankee tattoo. This is how like
Wow, a
hardcore,
tattoo,
yeah,
my God.
hardcore. Definitely, man.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what
a
I mean? I'm
big
not a
commitment.
tattoo guy. Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about getting a Yankee tattoo on my wrist and shit, man. It was as weird as that sound. But I was like, dude, Yankee fan all day. And then Jeter left. And then I'm like, you know what? Hey, man, I'm still a Yankee guy. It's about the Yankees. Even though Jeter's the best, Jeter's definitely my favorite player and stop watching the games. Stop watching.
Yeah,
Yankees weren't winning. They weren't as prestigious. They seemed like a regular baseball team. And guess what? Baseball started to seem boring again. Boring.
do
Now,
they go the shitter?
um,
Do they look like the Knicks?
oh yeah,
Want to
well
talk
yeah,
about that
they
team is
suck. Well,
shit.
the problem with the Yankees is that now they're relatively a young team and they're actually pretty decent. They made the playoffs too last year. They didn't do it this year with probably one of the youngest team in the league. Now this is unheard of for the Yankees, unheard of because the days of the George Steinbrenner days, he only had veterans. He never had time for any rookie guys. He would pretty much trade rookie guys for
Right.
the prospects they would call them. They don't call them rookie, they call them prospects. He would trade prospects for veterans. Well, they got lucky with Derek Jeter. Jeter got in there. Well, Jeter was a good prospect, and they got lucky because believe me, George was about to trade the guy, and they got lucky with
Yeah.
him. But now it's different. Now it's Hal Steinbrenner, the son of George, and he doesn't believe in big contracts. He doesn't believe in signing veterans. He believes building a team from the farm club, meaning from the
Yeah.
ground up. But a bunch of prospects, if you will, and it's actually working out. But the problem is in New York, we don't have time for that shit. We want to see
No,
big
no
fucking
time.
names. We
Yeah.
want to see home runs. We want to see runs scored all the time. We want to see big time pitchers. We want to go in there and feel like we're gonna win, and when we don't win, we have to feel like it's disappointing to a point that we're bitching. We're New Yorkers, you know what I mean? We
Yeah, which
expect too
for
much, especially
sports,
when the
I don't
Yankees.
like. Again, I don't know much about baseball, so I don't know their background of playoff history, championships. But you got to respect that if even for Knicks fans, because you got Knicks fans who it's been what 50, 60 years since they won a championship, and you still got
Since
guys there that I'm a
1972.
Knicks
Yeah,
for life. I'm a Knick for life. And you gotta say,
right,
man, you gotta commend that if you're sticking through a team that's been shit
right.
consistently, that have only had a few good years since then. So
And it's
you
true,
gotta
man,
commend that to New
because
Yorkers.
we're not gonna make any secret about it. We're both Knicks fans. This is how we're probably
Yes,
one of the reasons we are friends. And I know, like you said, you're near Toronto. I'm in New York, and it's not easy. It's not easy
it is
cheering
not
for a
easy at all.
team that never wins, right? But here's the
Fucking
thing, though,
blows.
right? But here's the thing, though. This is where the whole thing mixes up, and I'm going to attribute this to the Cubs later on. What I'm going to say now is that every time, sometimes this is what happens, though. Sometimes you'll have that shit team that you always root for, your old hometown team, right? But then they might pick up a good player, maybe one or two good players, where they're like, hey, this team has some possibility, and then
Yeah,
that's where all the closet fans comes in. All the guys like, oh, wait a minute, I was a big time Knicks fan. No, I'm a big Knicks fan. Like I was a Knicks fan before, I
right.
wasn't because
Now
they
they all come,
suck,
yeah.
but now they're pretty
But
decent, so I'm going to be a fan of them. And to me,
yeah,
I just, as a sports fan, to anybody, I just don't believe in that. And that's where I'm going to go with the Cubs fans. Like, here's the thing. By the way, when I said Cub fans are penises, well, like I said, Yankees fan, if I don't root for you, I'm going to call you a penis. But that being said, there's some diehard Cubs fans out there who I'm really happy that, they got a joy of a championship. There were guys, I mean, they were showing pictures on Twitter of like this old man sitting on his dad's grave listening to the Cubs game winning. And you know what I mean? Like these great stories of this one old guy who had this old, bottle of wine for like so many years, and he promised himself when he got married that he wouldn't open it until the Cubs won the World Series. The guy's like 70 now. You know what I mean? 70,
wow.
and that's awesome. I mean, because one thing that is true, Cub fans are Chicago Cubs fans. I've always been very, very loyal. But that being said, there's so many bullshit Cubs fans now that are coming out of the woodwork.
Coming out of the
This is the
closet.
best
Yeah.
team ever. I've been down with these guys since day one. Go
Right.
Cubs and shit. And I just fucking don't believe in it. I just think that's fucking their penis. If you're doing that,
Yeah, a bunch
you're
of
a
cocks.
penis. I feel
Yeah.
like here's the thing. If you I believe like this. If you're from a hometown, whatever, okay, if you're from somewhere, you say you're from New York, right? I believe you should
Yeah.
only cheer for your hometown teams,
You for
right?
your hometown team.
Okay, but here's the thing. That's not necessarily fair. That's true. Different circumstances, right? Okay, but I feel like if you're going to be a fan from somewhere else and you're not that state, stick to it. I just hate the bandwagon jumpers. I hate
Yeah.
the Miami Heat fans in New York when LeBron was
Mhm.
there, and now
Yes.
they're wearing the fucking
Yeah.
the Cleveland paraphernalia. I hate the fucking now you see a bunch of people who are huge Chicago Cubs fans. You know what I mean? I just fucking believe that's bullshit, man. Just stick to it. Stick to it. If you're fucking look at the Cubs, like look at those hardcore guys. It's so sweet. Yeah, I know it sucks 100 years, and there were some guys out there who lived a full life and didn't see the Cubs win, and they were diehard Cubs fans. That sucks. That's probably gonna be us, dude. That's probably gonna be us when the Knicks finally win a championship.
That yeah,
We're
we're
not
gonna
gonna
be
be
long
alive for
gone
it.
when they win.
But
Yes.
here's the thing, right? My brother, he been through his hat off the Knicks. He's like, I fucking hate the Knicks. Fuck them. Then I was like, well, let me ask you something.
I can't
He
blame
he
him.
wa- yeah, he was like, dude. I was like, what if the Knicks win? What if they finally win one? Will you be there for that? He was like, nah, fuck that. They ruined my childhood. It was about when you were a kid, and those days of Ewing and Starks and Oakley. They didn't win the big one, and either I love those guys, but I can never, what the franchise did and all this shit. I can never cheer for them again. So it's like, that sucks. You know what I mean? But I get that. But I'd rather have a guy saying that than he goes, well, I'm a big Cleveland fan. I'm a big Golden State guy. For the NBA fans and
Yeah,
shit.
Gold
Like
State's
how
my team, man.
Golden State, man. Oh, that Golden State. I've been a big fan since day one.
Oh,
You don't know.
I've been a
What
fan
do they have to
since
go?
2010.
Who
Oh,
prior
yeah, right.
prior to Steph Curry? Who was their franchise player?
Oh,
Prior to
how
Steph,
the
I mean, who was
fuck
the
do I
guy
know, right?
known
Yeah, who's
as
that
Mr.
guy?
Golden State Warrior? I think it was like Latrell Sprewell, who did choke his coach. I think you can mention him. Tim Hardaway, who
Yeah.
could spend most of his career in Miami. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. Like I said, then you could talk about some
I'm trying
old
to
fucking
remember
school guys, but I don't
who
know either.
the one of the last guys on there before the whole Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Because I know there was a guy on that team that got traded. I'm just trying to see. I'm going to be blank on this one, but I do remember there was
Yeah, like I said, I don't
a big
remember,
guy at the
man.
time on there.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there had to been.
Yeah.
I mean, there had to been some guy who didn't reap all the benefits of the Golden State Warriors. Like that one guy,
Yes.
either they traded or he left that year when they were actually something. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah.
fuck, that sucks. And that happened before in some guy's career. Um, Now I think Drew Bledsoe, obviously, he played his whole career. He never won a Super Bowl. He got injured, and then there was this young kid by the name of Tom Brady. I don't know if you ever heard of that guy. And
I've
he
never heard of that guy.
yeah, he was like a second string or third string quarterback. He comes in for a hurt Drew Bledsoe, and he's doing great, right? He's doing so good, and Drew Bledsoe comes back from his injury, and the coach, this guy by the name of Bill Belichick, another guy I don't know you've probably heard of, but he was like, you know
I've
what?
heard of the name, yeah.
He thought to
Thanks to
himself,
Stephen
he's
A.
like, wait a
Smith.
minute. I think I'm gonna stick with this Brady guy. He's like, not for nothing. Like, dude, I know you've been in the franchise for like 12 years. I know you put more work than anybody. I know you're the first one in, last one out. But I'm gonna stick with the kid, the Tom Brady kid. And I don't know if you look it up. What I'm reading here, he did pretty successful with that whole New
I
England
think he
Patriots they
might have
call
done
it.
pretty
Yeah,
successful.
right. So
One
yeah,
thing, I think one of his most successful things he's pulled off, I don't think it's, his football career. I think that's his woman, Giselle Bundchen. My God, what a piece of ass.
right. Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
yeah, I don't get it. People say that
imagine
Tom
waking
Brady.
up next to that lady every day. Imagine
Exactly.
banging her. Oh,
Yeah, and Tom
forget
Brady,
about it.
he's like, if you've seen his like his he'll post some videos up and shit, and he's like so happy. He's like the happiest guy about the marriage. Like you ever seen some guys like married
You
to hot
bet your
chicks?
ass he is.
Yeah, but there some guys that are married to hot chicks. They're very nonchalant about it. They're like, yeah, so what? Like when Brad Pitt was with
Yeah, those are the.
Jolie.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what I mean? Beckham was with that Spice
the
Girl
thing with
broad.
that is that you have a guy in Brad Pitt who's been good looking his whole life. Then you have who's the other guy that fucking David Beckham. These guys have been told
Yeah,
that they've
David
been
Beckham.
the prettiest
Right,
things out there. So when they
right.
get some broad, it's like, oh, I could have anybody.
Well,
As
but
if it's
Tom
one of
Brady was
us. You're
considered. I mean,
fine.
he's right.
Was
Go
he?
on.
Was he one of the
I don't
Golden
know.
Boys?
Well, no, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm a dude. Like, I really don't know. But I think he got that cred ever since he was dating the model. They're like, oh wow, if he's pulling Giselle, this guy must, this guy's like some kind of
He's either
heartthrob
got a
or some
huge
shit.
cock or he's got quite the
Right.
personality.
Well, I 100% believe, 100%
That
believe
he's got a huge
that
cock.
nah, I 100. Well, yes, I guess that's what the point I'm trying to make.
Oh, I think you have to. Yeah, you're in
yeah.
football.
I would 100% believe that there's a model. There's no model out there dealing with the man with a small cock. I don't get it. I just
Never.
they're like
Never.
because here's the thing. They're like,
Yeah.
well, what if the guy's rich? What if he's a billionaire? Well, listen, models are
If
fucking
you're
getting
that
hit on
hot,
by billionaires. Yeah, they're getting hit
yeah,
on by billionaires all the
exactly.
time. They're fucking super hot supermodels, dude. They don't call them supermodels for nothing.
They
These are
need
not
a
regular
reason to
models.
stay. Money's one of them, but you got to have a big schlong. You got to know how to put it down in the
Right.
bedroom.
I mean,
Keep them.
yeah, they're not gonna fucking, they're not gonna
I
deal with some
really hate
guy
to
like,
switch the subject because I would
Prince
love to
Bad in
talk
the
about
sack.
Giselle Bundchen, but
Right.
talking about the Knicks, I forgot they were playing tonight, going against the Bulls. So I turned it on, and they got the Knicks up 30-19. 30
Hey,
seconds
who's
left
that?
in the first
The Knicks
quarter.
are losing 30-19.
No,
I'm not
they're winning.
surprised.
They're winning. Well, 30-21 now. The Knicks are winning.
Well, is it Dwayne Wade over
Surprisingly.
there?
Yeah, Dwayne Wade is playing with the Bulls, and the Bulls start off pretty good. Were they 3-1? I know sports talk.
How many Playboy models you think these NBA guys bang a year? I mean, at a
Dude,
clip.
forget
Come
about
on.
it.
Come on.
It's got to be a lot. Like I've heard some stories, like Lisa Ann, for example, the porn star.
Okay.
I remember when
Right.
she was on Stern, she was talking about how she bangs a lot of these basketball players. Of course, she wouldn't name them by name. How boring, you'd want to hear. But I'm
Right.
gonna have to say the majority of the NBA, they're banging, models, some hot or porn stars.
Of course.
So wasn't it Dennis Rodman back in the day? Who was he banging? Carmen Electra?
Carmen Electra, dude,
My
absolutely. And
God.
prior to
Can you
that, he was
imagine a guy,
constantly
Dennis
hanging out the
Rodman,
Playboy Mansion. Right.
banging Carmen Electra? And that's a prime Carmen Electra, man.
Oh,
Like, what a piece of
absolutely,
ass
one
she
hundred
was.
percent. And this
Well,
is like
still, I would still
total.
bang.
And this is like total queer ramen, because obviously let's get it out there. Now here's the thing:
Yeah.
ramen didn't prove in the future that he became queer, but he was doing a lot of queer shit at the time.
A lot of gay
I-
things
I-
he was
you know,
partaking in.
I think he admitted a couple of interviews, like you mentioned Stern. I think he admitted that he uh, uh, made out with dudes. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know, but like I said, that's crazy. But this guy was totally hanging out the Playboy Mansion. You know, and these like he was always hanging out these Playboy, with these
Yeah.
Playboy models.
You know,
And
you
it's so
bring up
funny,
Playboy.
right?
I was reading today. I don't know how old this is, but there was some Playboy model. I think her name was Danny Mathers. I don't know. You know, you can look this up on your own. But anyway, she's getting
Okay.
charged with a crime for snapping a photo in a fitness LA gym. She took a photo of some elderly broad changing, and she said, "If I can't unsee this, you can't unsee this." And now she's being charged with, I think,
Wow.
some public privacy. She could face 6 months
Oh
in
God.
jail,
What
but she'll probably
a
get off of that.
Playboy model being shallow. How fucking
Right.
surprising.
I know,
I
right?
mean, come on, like what the fuck? Now she's being charged with this. Now here's the thing. If I gotta have to side with old Johnny Law on this one, because that's totally you can't fucking taking a picture of somebody is one thing, but you said she was undressing. Was she in the nude?
Yeah. She was in the
That's
nude. She
nah.
posted a
That
photo of
yeah, she can't.
an
You can't
elderly
do that.
woman
Who
nude.
who
Yeah.
has done that? Who has ever fucking snapped a model, snapped somebody in the nude in like hey, look, check it out, but posted it out there? Well, obviously there's a bunch of countless
Yeah.
people out there that
Yeah.
do that every
A
day.
bunch. Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
mean, but they don't. I mean, I guess they're not in so much of like they don't have as much followers as a Playboy model would. But I think that's kind of
Well,
fucking. It's
yeah.
funny. Don't get me wrong. It's funny as hell. It is funny as shit. You got it. I swear to God. Yeah, I'll give her an applaud for fucking being funny. Wow, an actually fucking shallow Playboy girl who's got a sense of humor. That shit was fucking hilarious. Mean is funny.
And this
Mean is
broad is
very
some piece
funny.
of ass.
Oh,
I mean,
I would
obviously you
only
think you got to be a
imagine.
piece of ass to be in Playboy, but she's extra, hot.
Right, of course. I would only imagine. But I think that's so fucked up. And you know what? Because everybody's going to be old and saggy. Everybody's
Yeah.
going to be
I know you can't
unattractive.
fight
I
that.
mean, at one point, come
Especially
on, you
women.
know what I
No
mean?
offense. I love
Yeah,
women, but they age fast.
they age fast. That's one thing about women, though. I always say this. I was like, one time it was me and this chick. We were talking. We were playing some cards, poker, and shit. And I love this girl, man. Her name was Bean. I love her. Such a hippie chick. Such a liberal. You know what I mean? Never,
Yeah.
just didn't think the wrong way. Didn't ever think the worst out of people. But I will always tease her. I was like, men age better than women. And she told me something that I'll remember. She's like, yeah, but we live longer. What do you rather
That
have?
yeah,
And I'm
okay.
like, well,
She's got a point there.
that's true.
But
But
well,
old and
if you
saggy
could
and you
yeah,
know,
if you could live a life, let's say, okay, if you're gonna put, what would you say? Let's put an average age out there. I'll let you do that for a woman to man.
but in terms of what?
Just for like living, like let's say like a
Okay,
woman lives to
what are
maybe
the
like
expectability?
85, a guy
Yeah, I'm
70,
gonna say
60. Yeah, what's
85
that?
for a woman.
Yeah.
85 for a woman. I'm talking about the average. I mean, here's the thing. This is me
Yeah.
just
No,
speculating.
average,
I don't, I
yeah.
don't, I don't have it in front of me. I don't have it in front of me. I'm
That's
gonna
all
say
right.
about 85 to a woman in some sense, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
say 65 to 70 for a man in
Yeah.
terms of expectancy in some sense.
Now,
You rarely see,
now I want to ask you
80-year-old men out
this.
there.
Yeah, I want to ask you this. If you could, I mean, obviously you'd want to be a man, you're a man, you're no Caitlyn Jenner, but let's say if you could be a woman, you could live till you're 80, but be fat, saggy, probably had a husband who's dead, so you're lonely and you can't get,
That
any
sucks.
dick, and you're horny. So, or would you rather be a man who, you may die young, but you don't look relatively old, you can still, bang some young broads, you can, and you're still banging, like, a story I heard Richard Pryor say in one of his stand-ups was his dad, when he went out, when his dad died, he was banging, there was a girl riding him, and then he just croaked. He's just dying. He's saying, if I could die, that's the way I'd want to die. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way for him, but, I gotta agree with him. If you're gonna go out, I'd rather go
Right.
out there than live an old, saggy, depressed. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I totally agree with that. I'm not gonna front, dude. I don't picture myself being an old man, unfortunately, and it's not because like I don't know. It's due to health reasons. I don't know. I just like I said, the way it's just stress, and the way
Yeah.
just this country is, man. That stress kills people, man.
Yes, big time.
Believe it or not, man. My favorite poker player is this guy by the name of Stu Unger, the only man to win 3 World Series finals, 3 World Series championship, $10,000 buy-ins. This is the big ones. Obviously, in the World Series of Poker, there's many different tournaments, but the big one is the $10,000 buy-in. He's the only man. He won it 2 times in a row. He could have won 3 times, but he won the one after that. This is how sick this guy is, right? But he
Right.
died banging abroad. But he did a lot of coke. He had a hot, big fucking heart problem and shit. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
mean, the heart problem was due to the coke, and obviously when your heart is racing,
Yeah. When
your
you're
heart
banging.
beat
Same.
elevates when you're having sex, and he died banging abroad. The girl was like she is a prostitute too, by the way. He was a degenerate. They made a movie
Yeah.
about him too. Stu Unger, you got to look it up, man. Michael Imperioli played him, the guy who played Chris in The Sopranos. Excellent fucking
Yeah.
job. Great fucking movie, dude. Totally in debt, right? In debt in terms of who he was. Great movie, but he died having sex, banging a prostitute, man. Dude, like I said,
That
personally,
was
man,
almost Lamar Odom's
I,
story. Was that last
yeah, man,
summer?
I heard that. That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
He's in a
That's
brothel.
it's
And he's
crazy.
banging
Yeah,
some
I
broads,
guess
and
I don't think I
he had
want
an
to go
herbal
out that
Viagra.
way. Yeah, I guess I want to go out with dignity in some sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go out
Yeah, I get what
naked,
you're saying. I
begging
guess it
abroad.
depends where your life is then, I would have to say.
Right.
But
I'd pass,
okay,
like
how
I
about
said,
this? How
the
about
best dream
this?
is to sleep.
What
Right.
would you want to have a life like Hugh Hefner when you're in your
Absolutely.
90s, 80s, you get to walk around the robe and have all these hot broads in the mansion?
Nah, but that would
I
kind of
gotta say that is
suck though,
pretty
because you can't get
badass.
it up. No, that's badass. But what if?
You know,
But isn't that the biggest like you're in hell? You're living in hell. Like you're seeing all this hot piece of
well,
A,
you know,
and they're like, you can't hit any of
okay.
that.
I'm gonna assume he hit it for most, his life. So if I ever make it to my 90s and I have a mansion there, I'm just gonna marvel at it because I still won't even get sick of looking at breasts, at that age, looking at some titties. I would just look. That would do it for me. I mean, obviously you'd want to
You
bang,
know,
but if you can't, you can't.
and that's the difference between men and women in some sense. Like women, I'm telling you, they're the way they're attractive is through emotion. And I'm not like you don't
Yeah.
speak for women. I don't. I get that. I get that. But men, like you have to understand that when we are attractive, we get attractive in an animalistic way.
Yeah.
We see a
We
girl
get we
we've
look at the
never
aesthetic
met
first.
before. Yeah, we never met before. We never spoken to her ever, but we would have sex with her. Like, oh my God, you see that? I would totally bang that. Now,
Well, that's
women,
that's usually the
obviously,
conversation between guys.
right,
When I'm at
right,
school and I'm sitting down with the guys and I see a hot broad walk by, I say, "Look at
right,
that piece of ass." What would you do to
right.
that?
Exactly,
We get very
exactly right.
disgusting with it, because
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
men. We're
totally.
disgusting.
And
We're
it's like
freaks.
5 seconds and shit of thought, right? But women, now
Yeah.
here's the thing: women obviously think like that too. Sure. I mean, this is okay. They'll see a guy like, oh my God, I would definitely, jump on him and shit, right? But the thing is
Yeah.
about women is different. Women can go to a man, and the man could be like the way, I don't know, like just not like that's why the women always say that thing, just shut up and look good, be quiet when you're talking, you're an idiot, that kind of shit. Women can be totally unattracted to you by one little thing, although they say, God, you're good looking, but they would hate you for something, anything, like any little thing. You know what I mean? A guy will never do that. We will never give a shit. If a girl is hot, trust me,
Yeah.
the game plan
Everything's
is
forgiven.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Just
everything is
bang.
forgiven. Like you laugh at a pretty girl's joke when she's not funny, when she's
Yeah.
being shallow. You're understandable to her. You know what I mean? It's just a different way of like life and shit. But it's just what women are different though. Like women can be attracted to a big fat guy. To be completely honest,
Yeah.
there's Giselle. In some sense, though, I'm just saying it is true. That's the power of men, but it's also the the women are it's a different species. If a woman could be
Yeah.
attractive to somebody who's completely
Yes.
ugly, you know what I mean, and completely disgusting, fat, doesn't take care of
Well,
themselves,
another Stern
they
reference,
can be.
Benji Bronk. Now, I don't know if he's
Right.
still dating this girl, but like back in 2011, he started kind of dating this broad named Elisa Jordan or something. She was some musician. She does podcasts now, but she's really some piece of ass. And it was funny the stories
Benji
because
Benji was banging her.
Benji
Fuck.
Brunk, yeah, because it started with he would talk to her, then she would ignore him, but he's really persistent every day, messaging her, messaging her, messaging her, and
Sure.
he's just seen her through Facebook, I think, and then she finally budged and said, "All right, let's hang out." And then the whole time she was saying, "No, I don't like you like that. I don't like you like that," and then there goes some time, and he's banging her, and that was his girl. And
Get the
you've
hell
seen
out of
Benji,
here.
that guy is a slug.
Like, yeah, the guy's a fucking slob. But I'm trying to tell you, dude, it's that though. It's sometimes it's the key to the heart, man. And that's And here's the thing. A lot of the times it's not because girls are like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "Shut up." I mean, there's a lot of attraction that goes into it. But bullshit, bullshit. I'm telling you right now, because what the guys, one thing about
The
guys, right?
attraction is nice, but
Yeah,
what keeps, keeps it
right.
going, the
Yeah, but what
emotional.
keeps it going is the emotion thing, and that's what the
Yeah.
girls keep it going. With guys, we're like, I'm not gonna front, man. We still though we will first see a girl, any guy who's married to their wife, right, or they have a girlfriend or whatever. When they first saw that girl, before they were wives, before they were girlfriends, they're like,
Yeah.
damn, I want to bang this girl.
God damn.
I just want to bang this broad. You know what I mean? That's how it started. You know what I mean? And that was their mentality. So think about it. Men are just
If you look at
animalistic,
most movies
primal.
men
Where
make, music,
right,
anything, it always has to do with that. Why do
right,
people
but
start, bands getting into music? Because they want some pussy. Why do some people go into sports for the actual sport, but then some people go in it because they want the pussy? Some people go into movies because they love the art, some because they want to get some pussy.
right.
Same
That's
with
why
everything. That goes with everything.
that's why
For
when I say
men in life.
when guys in a way in some sense though it's weird because they're totally lying to themselves and they're lying to their wives where they see a hot girl out there and they don't look at all and they say, oh, I'm totally comfortable with my wife, I love my wife, that's the only that's the only one I like. But here's the thing: women are weird because women will be married to a man, and women, I'm telling you, they be so loyal. I'm telling you, I've been there where in the singles bar, but there's always the married girl in there, but she's totally like, I'm not looking. I'm totally married. I'm so proud that I'm married.
Yeah.
I'm wearing this ring. The ring's high
Well,
in
but
the
you
air. I
also,
don't,
but
I
also,
can dance,
in
but I want to
today's
remind the
time,
guy that I'm not married. I'm married. Go on.
also, but I mean, I see where you're going with that, but I've been seeing a lot more often now where there's a lot of girls that are married that are going to, start banging guys. They come up with
Well, like I
Twitter.
said,
I mean, not Twitter,
okay. I
Tinder.
get that. I get that.
Tinder.
I get
And a
that
lot of
part too, dude.
Tinder is with a lot of
Right.
women that are married that want to
Right.
bang.
Right. Well, there is some, but I'm saying for the
It's not as
majority,
much, it's a smaller
I'm talking
majority,
about the
but
loyal
there are
ones, right?
those out there. Yeah.
And right, like I said, respectfully. So because I was gonna go to a
Yeah.
point. That being said, maybe this kind of comes in together where I was like, guys will always, no matter what, always be attractive. They'll always look when their wives or the significant other isn't around. They're always flirting. Girls are just so stupid. They don't get it. They're always flirting. The man was only is loyal as his options, to be completely
Yeah.
honest. If a man can cheat on his wife, right, and bang a girl, and he can do it and not get caught, he will. Now, here's the thing about women:
Most of the
they'll get
time,
so,
yeah.
but they won't be emotionally attached.
Yeah.
Like they don't,
Yeah.
like women don't understand. That's why the shit comes in. Like, listen, yeah, I was just
Yeah.
fucking her, but I don't fucking love her. I come home every day to you, but to them, it's like sex is a necessity for us. It's like fucking eating. You know what I
Yes.
mean? It's something that you have to fucking do when you're a man. And if you just, I don't know, I can't understand a man who doesn't have frequent sex. To be honest, with you, casual
I don't
sex.
get it. I don't
I
understand it.
don't get it. I don't get it. But in a way, a woman is not about that. It's weird. Women can like when you're in a relationship,
They can go a
they'll
long
cut you
time
off for a
without it.
week or two. Like
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it, or you pissed them off, whatever. And
Right.
here's the thing: in their mind, like they can go out with sex for 2 weeks, but a man can't. No fucking
No,
way.
a man would go crazy.
No
That's how
fucking
criminals
way.
are formed.
That's
Look at
fucking
most
true,
criminals.
man.
Those are guys that ain't getting no pussy.
That's you know what, man? That's so fucking true. And I'm talking about it's fucking true because there's a lot of criminals out there, and criminals are pissed off. They're doing a crime,
Hell
they're
yeah.
pissed off. You know, and when they're in jail, they're pissed off, and everybody's pissed off. They're angry. Nobody's happy doing a crime. Who are you, the fucking Joker? Nobody's like laughing and
Right.
robbing a bank unless you're truly insane. You know what I mean? Everybody's fucking pissed off. Everybody's tense. So yeah, you're right, man. You're right on that shit, dude. This is fucking
I wanted to, say one thing about that Joker, and then I have something else to say. I have things to say. I'm not sure if you knew that. All right.
okay.
So, I loved the Joker as the character. Growing up, I always loved the character, loved Batman. But you never really seen kids dressing up as the Joker. Now, with Suicide
That's
Squad,
true. That's
came
true.
out in
That's true.
August, and now I've seen a lot of Jokers, but I never really seen kids. And I go on Instagram this one day, I see this family, they're all taking a picture, going out for Halloween, and I see there's a mother dressed as Harley Quinn and a son dressed as a Joker. And in my head, I'm
Ugh.
thinking, like, do you really know what you're doing? Do you know what
Yeah,
your kid is,
that's.
dressed
Oh
up
my
as and what you
god.
are? Do you know what that really says?
Yeah, I think we do, man. And
Like,
maybe
we do,
that's what they
but
were
do
going for.
they? Like, what?
Right. That's true. You know what? The Joker, to be completely honest, and maybe we probably, I hope we do get bombarded with a bunch of people showing their Joker pics out there. But I'm talking about that Joker, like the Heath Ledger. I mean, not prior to the Heath Ledger. Let's talk about prior.
Yeah,
You never really see anybody dressed up as the Joker. And I'm not saying,
never
well, the Joker,
really.
Joker was always very popular. Let me just make that clear. Heath Ledger did not make Joker popular. The Heath
No, Joker has
Ledger made
always
it.
been.
Yeah, he made it. I mean, the Joker was iconic before it, but he
Yeah.
made it iconic in some sense. You know what I mean? But the Joker was iconic, man. He was like, everybody knew about the Joker. You would see kids dress up as Superman every year. You would see kids dress up as Spider-Man and stuff prior to these movies or whatever. But yeah, that's true. The Joker, you
There's
never
been
see that. And
no
then,
villain that's been so famous as the Joker. That's when you say the
right.
Joker, 9 times out of 10, most people will know the Joker, even if they are not into comics or comic book movies.
I think the most popular uh, villain costume, I could be wrong, has to be Darth Vader from Star Wars.
Yes, definitely.
Has to be. It's a cool costume too, and these are ones too.
It
Like, you know
is.
what,
Really is.
you can always Darth Vader is a no brainer. It's always relevant. You know what I mean? Like Darth, and you're
Yes.
gonna get that. And here's the thing: you're gonna be in the party, like it's a costume party. We're talking here, right? Or kids are gonna get the cool costume. Darth Vader, awesome, man! And don't you let you have the
Oh,
speaker box? You know
yeah.
what I mean? And like people like, dude, can I get a fucking picture? Like, I'm not talking about Comic Con bullshit. We're talking about like Halloween costume shit. Because people are like, oh, dude, these guys are cosplayers now. Like, no, bro, we're not fucking
Yeah,
cosplayers.
yeah.
We
I have
fucking
a
hate
friend who actually
cosplay.
does that, and it's
Oh,
very like, oh my God, it's
no.
brutal when I
Do
see it.
you?
It's
You
like,
call him a
oh.
friend? Oh my god.
Yeah, sadly he is, and he's a good one at that. But it is kind of
Really?
pathetic. I don't get people that do cosplay. Why? What's the point?
That's
Those
weird,
are you
man. That's
want to
what I was
talk
trying to
about other
say. That's
people who
what's
don't get,
Halloween's for.
pussy.
Those are the
That's
people that
those
like, yeah, those are the
cosplayers.
people who love Halloween too much. Now here's the thing, right? There's
Yeah.
two kind of guys that like Halloween. There's guys like I got friends, Ken. These friends of mine, dude. Like this is dude named Ken. Like he's hardcore. He's from the Michigan guy that I know. He's hardcore. Fucking loves like horror movies. He did like 30 in Halloween. He every day he would post these movies and shit. Like, and I like that. Like, guys are into Scream and they're into Halloween for. I know that as weird as it sounds, for like the slashing kind of movies, the killing, the scary, that shit. But then you get people, like I said, then you get these Halloween lovers who just want to dress up like fucking a bunch of Marys. And then, like I said, then they got these cosplayers and shit. And it's fucking stupid. And I'll tell you what else that I don't fucking like. The
Go ahead.
fascination that this youth have with the Japanese anime hentai bullshit.
Yeah,
What the
I've
fuck
heard
is
some very
that?
weird stories of dudes whacking off to that.
Dude, what the fuck is that? People whack off to fucking cartoons and shit, bro. And then
Yeah,
that's like a thing.
don't
I
get
was,
it. I don't
I
know how
always
you
do.
can
You know
get
what's so
off to
funny?
that.
Like I told you this before. One of my biggest fucking loves is trolling people on Twitch. Yeah, that's right. I
Right,
said it.
yeah.
You can fucking catch me on the Lobos 420 on Twitch. I fucking troll the shit out of these fucking neckbeards. I call nerds neckbeards. You know what I mean? Because you can't even say nerds these days. So I call them neckbeards, even if they don't have beards, even if they're not capable of growing facial hair. But let me say something. These
Most of them
guys
not.
would be like, yeah. These guys will be just told. And like I say, by the way, when I say troll them, I gotta find the biggest neck beard, if you will. So I'll find a guy playing the Star Trek online and shit. And this is not a knock to Star Trek. Me and Ben, we're big fucking Star Wars fans here. This is not a knock to Star Trek. We're not Star Trek fans, but still, though, I respect it, whatever, right?
So, yeah,
But
respect it,
so
yeah.
you have this guy. He was in there. He's talking, and the whole time I'm fucking putting some comments in there. I'm laughing my ass off. I'm like the only one. But he starts talking about these anime cartoons and how these anime cartoons have like 700 episodes. 700, dude. And this
700.
guy was.
Who's
Oh
got
yeah. Oh
time for
yes.
that?
Dude, please look this up. Look this. This is like many shows. This is not like this one show that has like seven. We're not talking like The Simpsons here or some shit when they come out with like a season a year. Like nah. This is like
Yeah.
different. And this guy was talking about. He was like, dude, if I saw all 700, I binge watch, man. Like he was talking. He was talking like. Here's the thing about the neckbeards. Because one thing about the nerds, the Dungeon and Dragon
Yeah,
nerds
that's
back in
alright.
our day, they fucking were just nerds, and they were like, with glasses, with the fucking Kleenex, and they was like, damn, get away from me, nerdlinger. You know what I mean? You're a fucking geek, and you're geeking it up in here, right? But and they would leave like, toy, and they would just run away, right? But the nerds now, they're like, the guy's like chewing his bubble gum. He's like cool. It's like, yeah.
The
He's
nerds
wearing his
now are the
Bullet
cooler
Club,
guys.
his Bullet Club T-shirt, his Japanese wrestling T-shirt, and he's like, oh yeah, I watched 700 episodes. Yeah, bro. Yeah, if you're not into that, like ew, like no, you're not cool. You stink. The
Right.
beards. Like I said, that's why I
Literally
call them
stink.
beards.
Yeah,
They
all the
don't
ones
deserve
I've
to be
met,
called the
most of them
nerds.
stink.
Yeah, they
Literally.
think they're fucking cool. And here's the thing: it's not like these beards are banging broads. They're like, oh yeah, they're
No,
doing
they're
this, and they're like,
not.
oh, I'm not gonna front. This guy's gonna get a mad tail. Like, no,
Yeah,
these guys
the
are like
only
not
thing they're
into
getting is
banging
the
broads.
Japanese anime
That
fucking
hentai
porno
shit, and they're
shit.
so
Yeah.
weird, and they love that shit, dude. They jizz to that. Oh, hentai. Oh,
Oh,
misos hare.
oh.
Oh, I am big Japanese important businessman. Oh, you watch my cartoon. Oh, you dumb American. You know what I mean? Like, yo, fuck that. I'm not fucking watching that shit. That shit is garbage.
Fuck
You know what? When I was a kid, I used to like the Street Fighter fucking cartoons. Like
yeah.
that was like Japanese made. There was one called the Fist of the North Star and the
The
Ninja
Fist of
Scroll.
the
I'm
North
telling you,
Star.
yeah, Fist of the North Star
It
and
sounds
Ninja
like
Scroll. I
an
swear to
exotic
God.
porno name.
You know what? I think it probably was because, like I said, this is hentai we're talking about here, not hentai.
Yeah.
Chinese, I don't Japanese animation. I don't know the fuck you want to call it, but it was that, right? So then these fucking guys, I thought, look, back then, I'm telling you right now, believe it, dude. Those movies, Fist of the North Star, fucking Ninja Scroll. Those are the people in the Street Fighter movies. Those are the people I'm telling you. The original guys were like, yo, dude, that was hardcore shit. Because back then you would watch that, and it was the bloodiest cartoon. There was no such thing as blood in cartoons. Well, you know what I mean? You watch
Yeah.
fucking Yosemite Sam shoot Daffy Duck, and you didn't see any blood. But this was like blood, violence, sex, everything. And this was the first time. This is back in the days, bro. So we were like, holy shit. Like, we were like, Japanese animation rocks. Like, anime, they called it. Like, this rules. So people got more into it. But
Right.
then it evolved to like 30 tentacles banging abroad, like sticking in her fucking cunt, sticking in her ear,
Oh
her
my
mouth,
God.
her asshole, her
Wow.
second cunt hole. You know what I mean? It's like, and people are like, oh, this is great. Like, no, when did anime become Fist of the North Star, Ninja Scroll to this fucking bullshit? It used
You
to
know,
be cool, believe it or not.
I think this is a good time to get out of this because, man, who the fuck wants to hear about that shit? I
No, but
gotta
it's true.
ask
But I'm
you.
just knocking the ghost.
I know.
Right, yeah.
I know. It's like, but I gotta ask you. Did you see the Wonder Woman trailer? The second trailer?
I did not see the Wonder Woman second trailer.
Dude.
The first one
Okay.
was still good enough for me. She's way fucking super hot. And you know what? Believe it or
She's
not,
way hot. Now,
dude, let me
okay,
say
go
something.
ahead.
Just let me right quick before you're gonna
Yeah.
say, just before you're gonna say it, she is fucking way hotter than Harley Quinn. Now,
She's
people are
gorgeous.
going fucking crazy. What are you talking about? Harley Quinn, this and that. Harley Quinn's alright, you know what I mean? Don't get it wrong, but Wonder Woman's a woman. You know what I mean? This Harley Quinn's
Yeah,
for the
Harley Quinn
the
is the broad
neckbeards.
you bring home to bang, have a real hardcore bang,
Yeah,
especially the booty call.
exactly. I don't
But
leave
Wonder
the
Woman
fucking
is
clown
the
makeup at
classy
home.
broad, the one you're gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna marry, the one you bring home to
Fucking
mother.
gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then
The one you
not
have
only
kids
that,
with.
yeah, not only you gotta keep you're gonna be married, but you have to keep her happy. If you want to keep that though, you gotta have that perfect marriage shit and do shit you don't
Yeah.
want to do, but you'll do it because you're
Exactly.
banging Wonder Woman. But
Exactly.
what about this,
It's
bro? What
Wonder
about
Woman.
this trailer? What's going on here?
Yeah, so well, first of all, obviously we share the same sentiment that she's a gorgeous, woman. The name, is perfect for her, Wonder Woman. So obviously she was way hot in BVS. She was way hot in that first trailer. But man, like the shots in general, not just her, are beautiful. But she herself, I don't know what it is, but like she just is so
Stunning.
beautiful in this trailer.
Fucking
Yeah, it's
stunning.
stunning when you see it, and she really. Well, I'm not even gonna say the visuals of the movie complement her. There's some very beautiful shots there. Now, this trailer
You're right. It
goes a
looks
bit
good.
more
It looks good.
into, yeah, it goes a bit more into story. And I talked to a person at school This was in film class. We were on break, but we decided let's just talk about movies. So we watched the trailer. We did a little reaction review, pretty much to ourselves. We didn't film it, but he was saying, "Yeah, I'm not too interested in a Wonder Woman movie," and I'm like, "Man, for being a guy." We've had
Okay.
the Elektra movie, we've had the Catwoman movie. Yet those ones, were shit. And all right, would I
I don't
bang
know. I
Jennifer
told you I
Garner?
was biased
Yeah.
on Electra. We'll get into that
Right.
later.
I would still
I thought it
bang
was
her. Would I? Would
decent.
I definitely Halle Berry was a very beautiful woman. I would bang her too.
Absolutely, of course.
But from what we're seeing so far from here, I mean, I know BVS. All right. Some people liked it.
Batman
A lot
for
of people didn't.
Superman. For people
Yeah.
who don't know,
Yeah.
for the
Right.
non-neck beards out there.
Yeah, I know. Look at me, fucking what a asshole. And then Suicide Squad, universally was a disappointment, even though it made a lot of money. So for money wise, it wasn't. Now, most people liked Wonder Woman, the portrayal. Now, from what we're seeing, it looks like it's going to be a good movie. I'm holding out hopes. Fingers crossed. Patty Jenkins directing. I don't know much about her. I hear she's a really good director, though. So, anyways, we had that behind-the-scenes footage that came out months ago. It looked good. What we seen the first trailer really should, put, the good word out there for people that were nervous. That was back in San Diego Comic-Con for the sweaties out there. And then now we have this trailer who goes, like I said, goes into the story. But it's just so beautiful. You really have to check it out. The shots are beautiful. Now, I got sidetracked there. What I was saying to this guy was, you know, if you're a man, how are you not attracted to this movie? I don't get how there's guys saying, "Oh, I can't watch this movie because there's some broad as the
Oh,
lead."
exactly.
Man,
Yeah, yeah,
as
yeah.
me as a horny guy, I mean, I'll watch any movie with a broad as the lead, especially if they're hot
Well,
like her.
here's the thing. Here's
I'm
the thing,
taking
though,
it all
right?
day.
Here's the thing, right? Now, here's the thing. We're fucking pigs. When I'm about to say, you know what? I agree. Like, that's dumb. If you're gonna fucking knock Wonder Woman, I'm not gonna lie, dude. That's way stupid. I'm gonna take a stance on that. You can't knock
Yeah,
Wonder Woman.
you
She's
can't.
way hot and is fucking Wonder Woman, right? But you know what though? You put fucking Ghostbusters with four ugly broads in there, not for nothing. That's why that shit is garbage. If they had fucking some hotness, and I'm just saying, I'm sorry. People are gonna get
Yeah.
mad. The broads are gonna turn the fucking dial. They're gonna fucking
Yeah,
switch the
the rods
channel.
will, but
They're
I
not
don't
gonna
think
like
guys
it.
would because most guys didn't like
Yeah,
the
but I'm
movie.
saying you can fucking. Here's the thing, like people like, oh, I'm not gonna lie, the girls being in Ghostbusters. I swear to God, bro, like no, bro. If they had some hot broads doing the Ghostbusters, they
I
can't act worth the
Yeah.
leg. People are like, yo, dude, this movie's pretty cool, dude. You seen Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
bro? Like, yeah, I seen it. I seen it twice. You know what I mean? What are you talking
Well,
about?
there would still
But
be, even if it was the greatest movie, there's still gonna be the douchebag out there that's ew, a bunch of
yeah,
bras. But
yeah, the beards, the beards are not into
I
that,
agree,
sure.
I agree with you. As if that's the case, if they got some really hot broads doing it, it would have
Right.
probably done better. But I
Enhanced
do
it.
gotta say, a lot of it, I think, has to go with just guys. A lot of you want to talk about neck beards and really. Sweaties, those kind of guys. It had to do with a lot of people that were like, I love the first Ghostbusters. They'll say Ghostbusters, but they're not going to mention
Yeah,
two. Of course,
right,
they don't mention two.
right.
So who the
Of
fuck
course, of
does?
course. Right.
But then, oh, I love Ghostbusters. You're ruining my childhood. How are you going to do this? Well, for one, your childhood isn't ruined because you have the first one, and you have the second one
So
too,
true.
if you like
True.
that, whatever. So just because they made
Right.
a movie, like, who fucking cares? You're not going to get a second one because no one went to see it. I seen it. I personally enjoyed it, kind of. Like, it wasn't the best movie. It was nowhere near the caliber of the first one, but I don't think it was the ladies that were the issue with it. It was more story. Story wasn't all too strong.
Yeah.
I thought the girls' performances, it was good, but I agree that if you put some hot broads in
I
there,
think.
it would have done
Listen,
better.
listen. I don't want to get wrong here, but then again, I don't want to look. I don't want to sound like a pussy. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Right.
I thought the only talent in there was Kristen Wiig. Now Kristen Wiig is fucking hilarious, but most people don't know her. She was on Saturday Night Live, and obviously,
Yeah.
yo, dude, Saturday Night Live sucks dick. It hasn't been funny. I'm not funny. It was funny
It
as fuck.
hasn't been
Will
funny in a
Ferrell
long
was
time.
there. To me, most
Yeah,
people are not
even
Will
then,
Ferrell
I
fans,
was
but
never a big Will Ferrell guy.
yeah, I thought I'm telling you, what he did in Saturday Night Live to me was fucking magic. When he did that goulet shit, that needs more cowbell. That it
Yeah,
wasn't funny because it wasn't cool because it was popular. It was popular because it was funny. Believe it or not,
yeah,
Kristen Wiig was when she left. I'm telling you, dude, I tuned into it or something, but I saw her and man, this was a girl who was, I'm telling you, funny as fuck. I know she's not a stand-up comedian and shit like that, but she is funny as fuck. Where to a point, I was like, oh. Kristen Wiig being the lead in this movie, I thought in my head, I was like, that's obviously
yeah.
the smart thing to do if you're gonna have a female cast into it. She is funny as fuck. I didn't think
Correct
she
me
was
if I'm
funny in that
wrong,
movie. I didn't think she was funny in
but
that movie.
Well, yeah, she had moments, but it wasn't like she wasn't hilarious. But speaking of that, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't feel like a lot of the Saturday Night Live cast is comedians anymore, like from the past few years. Because back in the day, wasn't it mostly all comedians?
Well, no, they were comedians in some sense, but not necessarily stand-up comedians. Obviously, you had some back in the days, but you want to talk about John Belushi, like Chevy
Yeah.
Chase, like I'm
Well,
talking
yeah,
about Bill
those get,
Murray.
yeah,
Those guys weren't. I mean, well, we'll move on though, right? But those guys weren't
yeah.
really stand-up comedians. Guys like Adam Sandler, he did stand-up in some sense, though. I gotta give him that.
Well,
Most
yeah,
people
he
don't
did
know that.
do, yeah.
He,
David
I think that
Spade,
Adam
Eddie
Sandler, yeah,
Murphy,
David. Yes,
Chris
yes.
Rock.
Well, Eddie Murphy prior, I think, started out like you. I don't know, but he did some stand up. You're right. Then did the SNL and left to do stand up. David Spade wasn't known for stand up. I think till
He
he
wasn't known, but
left
he still
SNL.
did it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but he would. Yeah, he was. Yeah, but he did it. You're right.
You know,
But
there's a funny. Speaking of David Spade, well, it's not that funny, but I'll mention it since I already did it. I was in Vegas about maybe 3, 4 years ago. I was seeing the Manny Pacquiao fight against Marquez. It was the third one, and
nice.
so I'm walking in this mall, and then I see the short guy, and he's with four really hot broads, all blonde.
Right.
So I'm like, who's this guy? You know, a bunch of hot broads, and I look, and it's fucking David Spade. Yeah.
Get the fuck
And
out of here. No
I'm
shit.
serious. David Spade walked right by him, and he's with four broads, two on each side.
Yo, you know what's so funny? I swear to God, this is no fucking bullshit. I swear, I promise you, dude. I'm telling you this story for real. Like a friend of mine, you know what I mean? He hangs
Yeah.
out, he not hang out, but he frequents the comedy clubs and shit, right? And he said he was over
Yeah.
there at Caroline's and shit. This was like years ago, probably like 2010 or some shit like that. And he was like that. He saw some little dude with some hot ass girls. I forgot who was performing. I wish I can tell you right now. And he said he's like, dude, it was David Spade, and he's got a picture with David Spade and those four hot
Yeah.
chicks. Like facts. Like he has a picture. I can bring him over. Like he'll show you that picture. But he was in New York. Like yeah, no doubt. Like David Spade, dude.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but apparently David
David, talk
Spade.
about a
Yeah.
guy who's always surrounded with hot broads, man.
Yeah,
David Spade.
he was I don't know if you're aware, cause maybe you're a little younger, Ben. Maybe people don't know this, but Ben, young guy, and I'm older than
A
him.
young
I think
guy,
I got
yeah.
him by 10 years, right? But
Around that.
he was banging
Roughly.
Heather Locklear. Now I don't know if you
Yeah.
know who Heather Locklear is.
Yes, I do.
The
Yeah.
kitty's out there, but oh, Madonna me.
Not many
Oh,
people do.
forget about
I
it.
mean, for kids these days. Yeah.
Heather
Kids
Locklear
have.
was some fucking piece of fucking ass. You know what I'm talking about?
Hell yeah.
Heather Locklear was that fucking broad. Anytime you talk about a white girl, blonde hair, blue eyes, at the time it was Heather Locklear. Forget about it. Let's
Mm.
not compare that. You know what I mean? And David Spade was banging that. This is David fucking Spade. And we don't want to throw the guy under the bus. We don't want to
But
bury
he
David
does. Yeah,
Spade.
he's
But it's
not
just,
the best looking guy out there.
yeah, we're actually giving them fucking some respect over here.
Yeah.
But that SNL shit, though, to me personally, I thought it brought a lot of funny people out there. Like you got it, like Norm Macdonald, because you like Artie Lang. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So you
Hell
know
yeah.
Norm.
Norm, what
You
up?
obviously
A
know
funny
Norm.
guy. Yeah.
Oh
Canadian.
my God, Canadian too.
Yeah.
Yeah, knock on wood, pal. Or oak, and you're.
Well, yeah.
You, but
Let's see if we can do this.
there you go. Let's see
Not
it.
sure if you could hear that.
Right. Oh, and that was, by the way, I was knocking my head.
Yo,
But
speaking of
yeah,
that, another thing, I was in one time when I was in 10th grade, this was a while ago now. I was in a civics and careers course, the
this was a
biggest
year ago.
joke course ever. It's a waste of time, but get a good mark. Anyways, so me and a few buddies at the time were shooting the shit, and we hear this noise. We hear this banging noise. So we look to the right, and there's this broad just banging her head against the wall, just nonstop, just going
What?
for it. Boom, boom,
What?
boom. Yeah, we started dying, and we
What
we
the
nicknamed her
fuck?
Headbanger.
Holy shit!
And the thing
Did
was,
nobody
like,
try to stop
she,
her?
no, no. And the
Nah,
thing
bro,
was,
that's
she didn't
just
have
that
any
sucks,
defects.
man.
She didn't have any mental problems. She was no, like, obviously you got to be out there to do that,
Why'd
but
she do it?
She wasn't retarded. None of that.
What the fuck? She
I
wasn't fucking
never
retarded.
asked. I never
Forget
asked.
about it.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody cared. The end.
No, nobody fucking cared. And to bring up
The end.
the same girl, we in that same course we had to pick a career and present it for our exam. So I forget what she picked, but it had something to do with animals. So me and my friend, wait,
course
this
it did.
obviously someone's up presenting, everybody be quiet, listen. So me and my friend were sitting down. Now this girl, she didn't have the best of English. She would mess up words. She would slur. So this one time, obviously we're in 10th grade. Some of the things, we'd laugh at as juvenile, even now. So, I find juvenile things funny. But anyways, so I think she says Jew. Now, for some reason, I thought Jew at the time was hilarious. So I try
Jew's
to hold
always
it in.
thinking
So I
somebody's
start,
saying Jew.
exactly. A Jew's always thinking somebody's calling us a Jew. So
Exactly.
I start chuckling a bit. Now, I
I
forget the
said
other word
boo.
she said, but she messed up a word. And then my friend starts laughing. So, once one person's laughing and another person's laughing, it's all downhill from there. So I'm trying to hold it in. He's trying to hold it in. That's only making it worse. So we're going up and up. The laugh gets louder and louder. And then she stops the middle of her presentation, looks at us, and says, "It's something funny." And we just lost it. We started dying, and that was it for her presentation. She was over, started crying, and we
Right.
felt like we kind of felt bad. But if you don't stop your presentation and look at the guys laughing and say something funny, it's just going to go wrong.
Right.
That's the story of that broad.
This wasn't the same girl that was banging her head, was it? Just the
This
same
was the
girl?
same girl banging her head.
You
Yeah.
should have totally went out with her, man. I mean,
Oh,
come on,
dude,
like, dude. I
she
mean,
was
come on.
some
Headbanger
yeah,
probably have some good
well,
fucking head job. You know what I mean? If you know what I
well,
mean.
she was very, to be nice,
She probably
very
would have. She
ugly.
would probably would have headbanged on the, on the old oak tree.
I would have had to been, sedated to bang this broad. Put it that way.
You know what it is? I don't know. Come on. You gotta stop having high standards, man. You
Oh
know what? Not for
no, trust
nothing.
me, this is a no high
Well, I'm
standards.
saying a girl. Listen, yeah, a girl bangs her head on on a desk. She bangs her head on the wall, and you want to tell her she's no good anymore. You know what? I think I might. I'll give her a rattle.
Well,
I'll give her some
see
time.
that I wouldn't care. Any broad it would be. Well, not any, but this girl, she was really into Disney shows. Let's put it that way. So she showed up wearing a Selena
Ugh.
Gomez shirt, but like the young Selena Gomez. She was really young-minded. She was about like
Right.
4 foot tall.
Yeah, but
So
dude,
I
she
guess if
was
there's one
fucking
aspect
young.
about
She
her
was in
is
tenth
that
grade. You said she
right, yeah,
was. She
right. No,
shouldn't be
but
into the
even
Selena
then,
Gomez. At least she wasn't to the Nicki
but
Minaj bullshit, right?
even then, it was just she was very young-minded, and
Yeah,
I
I
don't even
got you.
care
I
that she
got
was
you.
weird, but she was ugly on the worst kind that you could think of.
Oh, you said the U
Think
word.
of
You
the.
said the U word. And it
I
wasn't
know,
uterus or
right.
Uranus
Like I
or your
heard a
rectum.
comedian Jim Jeffries. I don't remember the
Ooh,
exact,
a
a
lot of name
routine he did,
dropping
but
with you, Ben. A lot of name
yeah, he
dropping.
was one of his things. One of his bits was talking about one of the ugliest broads. He's banged, and when it's a one, you never want to think of a one because when you see a one, it's like and it's a bad thing. If I've ever seen a one, that's a one.
Right. Wow. A one. You know
A
what?
one.
I seen a one. Sure, I have. But you know what? To be completely honest, she was in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? She had like no
I
legs. She was just like, I'm not gonna front, bro. Like, yeah, you know what? If you had to rate it,
I
what would
gotta
you
be
give?
honest.
She had a bad eye. I give her
I've
a one.
seen yeah,
I gotta
I've
give her
seen
something. I give her a
broads
zero.
with no legs and no arms that were hotter than this broad I'm talking about.
I see. You know what? I swear, I agree with that because do you remember that one girl? She was like a surfer, and her arm
Yeah,
got bit
and
off by
yep,
a shark. She was
I
pretty
know
hot.
exactly.
She had
She
one
was.
fucking arm, and she was cute. She was cute, very cute. Like, oh, look at that cute girl.
Yeah, and speaking of another
I'm wrapping this
amputee, I
up.
go on
Did I hear?
Instagram the other day. I think I
What?
did hear that producer say we got
Yeah,
2 minutes left.
yeah, that Griswold.
Damn.
But but that being said, what were you saying, Ben? Let's end this on a high
Yeah,
note,
that being
pal.
said, yeah, I go on Instagram and there's a thing where you can go and see, it's like I think it's called Explore. You see what people in the world are posting. And there was this one broad. She was on a beach, blonde hair, blue eye. But she was an
She's a hell of
amputee.
a
She
lot
was
better.
missing a leg. I think she was in the
No
military, so she
shit.
lost it that
Yeah.
way. But man, I'm telling you, she was fucking hot. She was some piece of ass.
A leg is not bad. A missing leg
Yeah,
is
she
not
could she could
bad.
have missed another leg, and she still would have been hot enough.
A
Take away the
missing
two
arm
arms,
is
she's
not
good.
bad. And guess what? Let me tell you something. For the girls who are one, maybe if you had a missing head, you'd be a two. That
I gotta agree with you. Get rid of the head.
that
You're a
being
two.
that being said, thank you, thank you for
Oh, you
joining
hear that?
us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta wrap this up with
you
60
know, we gotta
seconds.
wrapping this
This is
up.
your
We gotta
show,
take
so I'll
piss
let you take it
breaks.
from here.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Well, like I said, man, I appreciate anybody who's listening, man. And we got more shit to bang out. We got more shit to do and more shit to talk
Yeah, this
about.
is just the beginning.
Now,
We're getting started.
this is just the start, and we appreciate anybody who's giving us an open ear. That
Even if
being
it's that
said,
one guy in a college dorm that's high, he's
right.
wasting his time.
As
We
long as
love you.
he's not with as long as he's not in there with Jerry Van Dusky, that fucking prick.
Yeah, that
You know what
guy.
I mean?
Yeah, let's hope not.
That being said,
Harold
yeah,
Sandusky.
top to the morning to you guys, huh? See you when we see you. We'll meet again. See ya. See ya.
Oh,
See ya.
hit him with